Hello team, welcome to another ATP Geopolitics video with myself, Jonathan MSP. Ukraine War News Update, second part thereof, the 2nd of July 2024. Before I get on with the military aid and equipment video section, I'll just go to Crimea. This is an extra bit of information on top of my previous video. This is a strike to Crimea from last night. In the evening, says Special Kherson Cat. In the evening, or actually he's quoting from a Telegram source, of the 1st of July, a missile strike was carried out on a facility of the Russian Black Sea Fleet in the Cape Fiolent area of Sevastopol. The strike was carried out using cruise missiles of an unidentified type. The target of the strike was a Shahed 136, or Grand 2 as the Russians call them, drone warehouse. The approximate amount of destroyed units is 90. There's no information about casualties among the personnel. Incredibly significant. There was another warehouse that was taken out recently with Shahed drones inside, as well as Lancet loitering munitions and Zala reconnaissance drones. If this is as successful as it appears, and this is going to be really useful, I talked about how it's so difficult to stop FPV and IED dropping drones from being used, in the same way that it's easier to take out artillery, because you know those are big pieces of artillery. You see them there, you hit them, it blows up, job done. With drones, everyone's using drones, they're all flying all over the place, and because they proliferate so much, it's a bit like saying we need to take out the use of machine guns, or we need to take out the use of assault rifles. So yeah, well, you're gonna have to take out all the people running around and sat in bunkers and so on and so forth. So the fewer there are instances of any given thing, the easier it is to take them out, right? And so I think we've got to a point where there are so many FPV drones. Like if they are making that many a day, 3,000 a day, then you are seeing 3,000 get used a day in Ukraine, or by the Ukrainians alone. So how do you stop that? Well, you take out the factories that are making them. But what if there are so many factories that are making them and they're getting them in from abroad? It becomes very difficult to take those things out. And so you then have to come up with a mitigation to the use of those things, like electronic warfare, or some other mitigation. With artillery, as I say, it's a bit easier. You can take out lots of artillery pieces. It's slightly easier because there are fewer of them. When it comes to attack drones like Shahed drones, you can either try and take out the drones themselves, you can use electronic warfare, you can shoot them down. That's sort of like the sticking plaster. What you really want to do is cure it by, well, essentially the ideal thing is to blow up the factories making them so they never even get to the front line. Happy days. That's slightly difficult. They're quite far back into Russia, but they have tried that as well. But where they are delivered to, where you have these staging points for these Shahed drones, there are only sort of there are at least 5 places where they fire them from, and obviously the stockpiles are going to be relatively close by. Well, is it that now the 3rd warehouse of Shahed drones? It's at least the 2nd. I thought I said there was a 2nd the other day. So either way, I mean, this is really significant, because you're starting to, if this is successful and true, you're starting to see Ukraine tackle the Shahed drone problem by hitting them before they take off. And this is exactly the same principle that needs to take place with aircraft. The Russian airfields need to be hit in Ukraine, because then they can't fly those planes, and then they can't shoot missiles and drop bombs into Ukrainian territory. This is really good news if it is indeed true. Right, let's go on to the military aid part of the video. And talking of aircraft, according to the spokesman for the National Rally, so the French far-right party that's possibly just about to sweep into some kind of power in the National Assembly in France, the spokesman for them said, quote, "Ukraine has nothing to worry about." The French aid to Ukraine said there is no refusal to send the Mirage 2000-5, but answers are needed. This is the situation at the moment. It would be great if there's real clarity there. If the National Rally in France were as wholeheartedly behind support for Ukraine as Macron is, right, I wouldn't be whinging nearly as much as I am about the National Rally. It's because they're so closely connected to Russia that it's such a worry. I mean, I said to you this morning in my earlier video that I was quite depressed this morning. I woke up and I feel that France is going in the wrong direction. I look at AFD in Germany that has connections to Russia. I look at the rise of reform in the UK and how there are these appeasement positions being taken by not only Farage, but also other members of the party. I look at MAGA, the US. I look at Trump and, the debate the other day and Biden's debate performance and think, well, does this mean Trump's got an easier job of getting in? And then what's his views? Oh, my goodness, look at him. Look at those people around him. He's now just announced yesterday that he's going to get General Mike Flynn back into a position, and he's like anti-Ukraine. I mean, if you have any thoughts that Trump is going to be really good for Ukraine, you are just simply wrong. Just look at what he says, look at what his family says, look at what the people around him say, and look at the sorts of people he wants to get in. All of those variables are pro-Russia or anti-Ukraine. So it's really worrying. And then when you see the Supreme Court make the ruling yesterday, it's just like, oh my goodness, what is going on? So I woke up in a pretty bad way this morning. But actually, if National Rally can rally around Ukraine here, then that might be something. I mean, I don't know. I think they're just going to be trying to appease those centre-right voters that might otherwise be afraid of National Rally's approach to foreign policy there. Staying on the jet front, the Netherlands officially has approved the permit required to export 24 F-16 fighter jets. So the first F-16s are expected to be sent to Ukraine, quote, soon. So everything seems to be in place. 24 fighter jets on the way to Ukraine, possibly. Excellent news. That's exactly what we want to hear. Politico has a piece on the Democrats urging the Pentagon to train more F-16 fighter pilots. This is exactly what we want. Pressure from hopefully both sides of the aisle. I think we had Republicans talk about this previously as well. 15 House Democrats called on the US Department of Defense to expand the scale and speed of training for Ukrainian pilots on F-16 fighter jets. And according to Politico, from a letter it obtained, it says that Kyiv, quote, will have more F-16 aircraft than they will have qualified pilots to fly them by the end of the year. Interesting if that is actually the case. And we just don't know how many aircraft they're going to get, what state they're all going to be in. There's lots of talk about some people saying the radars won't be good enough, others saying the radars are being updated. I mean, that's possibly part of the delay, that their radars have been updated. It just depends who you listen to. I don't think there's any definitive idea at the moment that's out in the public information spaces. But anyway, to continue, which threatens to undermine the strategic advantages that these aircraft can provide to Ukraine, i.e. if they don't have enough pilots. So this is really good. So let's actually look at some of the letters. So the request comes at a critical juncture in Ukraine's ongoing conflict with Russia, where the deployment of F-16 aircraft has the potential to significantly influence the outcome of the war. That's what the 15 lawmakers on the letter say. So that's really good, strong rhetoric. By the end of the year, Ukraine will have more F-16 than they will have qualified pilots to fly them. The situation threatens to undermine the strategic advantages the aircraft could provide Ukraine. And then the American lawmakers argue that NATO allies have extensive training programs that could meet Ukraine's request for more training, but they want the Pentagon to lead the way. That, quote, may provide the most expedient means of broadening the pipeline, they wrote. Quote, this effort not only enhances Ukraine's ability to utilize the F-16s effectively, but also reinforces the broader coalition's commitment to supporting Ukraine in its fight for sovereignty and territorial integrity. Great news. Let's get it done now, and let's get it done before November comes along, depending on, what takes place in the elections. Okay, Ukraine expects strengthened air defenses in July, Zelensky says, and this is probably in light of the SAMP from Italy and those at least 4 Patriots coming from abroad, possibly 8 from Israel. We don't know any more details on that. But anyway, his quote was, this month can bring Ukraine even more strength, in particular in protecting the sky and bringing real security to our country. Somewhat cryptic, but but certainly seems like air defences are going to be strengthened this month. Right, Ukrainian armoured vehicles delivered the first batch of Novator 2 vehicles with electronic warfare for the National Guard, according to Defence Express. National Guardsmen had plans to arm every combat brigade of the service with new Novator 2s. So these appear to be indigenously constructed, manufactured vehicles that would do a pretty good job, hopefully, of protecting those inside, especially if they have electronic warfare capabilities on them. And then, quote, Ukraine survived the Russian attack. Ukraine will win this war sooner or later, largely thanks to Polish and US soldiers, services, and all those who organised this largest hub here in Rzeszów, according to Prime Minister Donald Tusk when visiting the Rzeszów hub. Of course, that's excellently pronounced Polish. One must remember the fantastic work being done at these huge hubs outside of Ukraine that are coordinating all the efforts to supply Ukraine with these pieces of equipment. And the Polish and American soldiers who are working on them, doing a sterling job there, it seems. Right, more than 3,000 prisoners have been released on parole and are assigned to military units following the approval of a mobilization bill by Ukrainian Parliament, according to Deputy Justice Minister Vysotska. 27,000 inmates could be eligible for the program. So 3,000 have already been released on parole to join the armed forces. That is fantastic. That's 3,000 troops that can get to the front line after their training. And if 27,000 more could be eligible, it's not to say they will choose to do so or that they pass the medicals, but that's a fantastic resource for the Ukrainian army. They need as many soldiers as they can get their hands on. And then we go to Russia here, with the Russian state media reporting on several domestic UGV unmanned ground vehicle concepts, now also sporting CUAS, so counter unmanned aerial vehicle cages, like tanks and armoured vehicles already in a field. So this is drone protection on drones, as you would, I kind of expect with the way that the war is evolving and this equipment is evolving. Anyway, that's a short one from me. Goodness me, just 12, almost 13 minutes. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe and share. Take your time to hit that bell and subscribe if you haven't already. And by the way, if you do subscribe, press the drop down menu next to subscribe and you have all or personalized, go to all. And that's the same for anyone you subscribe to that you want everything from. Anyway, thanks for watching. Take care. Speak soon.